what kind of do you feel is the best resource? Anything from a database to just networking to kind of find new distributors for other markets.
I think that distribution is the key to all this. As I said in that three-legged stool example, distributors are the key, and you can't really do much without the right one. And different distributors are right for different things. So if you're starting small and you want to work in a few areas, I would even start with picking the right states, the right markets. Certain markets you're going to be more successful in than others. It's really hard to go into A markets, the biggest markets, and try and be successful and get any attention out there. So for me, it'd be more about attention. It'd be more about blocking and tackling and having a strategy where I want to be in these states, and that's why.
Welcome to the Wine2w Vinitaly Business Forum 2025 Chicago edition, where global wine professionals share insights, strategies, and inspiration from this year's conference. Let's dive into today's session and explore the ideas shaping the future of wine.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this new session of the ITA track dedicated to the wine business, to the wine industry. And today I'm very happy to welcome a celebrity in the American wine industry and in the import of Italian wines to US. He's a winemaker. Probably only few of you know that he is a winemaker. And he started his career in Napa Valley, of course, where he comes from. But probably only few of you knows that he started his career of winemaker in Italy as an enologist at a very prestigious winery, which is still part of your portfolio, by the way. After 5 years, almost 5 years, he came back to the United States. It was 1990, and his focus was, in a way, the shift between being a winemaker and started becoming an importer of fine Italian wines. In that year, he had this kind of vision, and he decided to found Dalla Terra Direct, a business model which was something revolutionary, something very pioneering, a model based on a connection between wineries and the US distributors, minimizing the importer's footprint. This was the original idea behind this great project. Now, this year is celebrating the 35th anniversary, and actually I have to take a bottle of sparkling wine at the end for the celebration, by the way. And so today we will have the chance, thanks to him, to understand better which was the vision behind this project. And the title of this session is clear. But we would like to understand from him how his vision can apply today in this kind of critical, challenging environment that we are experiencing. So, welcome everybody. Welcome Brian Larky.
Grazie. Grazie, Roberto.
Prego, prego.
Now, Roberto didn't really get much of an intro, so I've got to say a couple words about him. One of the true leaders in Italian wine today, one of the leaders who is currently the CEO, not just of Fontana Fredda, but the entire group. I asked him today how many wineries he coordinates and runs. 14 different wineries throughout Italy, including global sales. So that's a huge hat, a lot of responsibility, and I think it's great that we got paired up together today. So we've known each other for years, lots and lots of respect, and his perspective, my perspective. I think today we're really here to respond to the questions today. So I've got a presentation prepared, but I didn't really know who I was making the presentation for. So we'll do a little poll to see who's here today.
Yes.
How many people are Italian wineries wanting to come to the United States?
This was a nice pool, huh? Two. Okay. Nice.
How many people love Italian wines? One day they went to a restaurant, they had a great bottle of wine, they thought, I can do this. I want to bring some wines in the United States. One. Really? Two. Okay. So if you're not here to sell wine to the United States, and you're not here to buy wine and bring it into the United States, just because I'm going to tailor this talk to this group, right? So who are we? Give me an idea. What group did I not mention? People who love to drink wine. Okay, we got a lot. See, everyone here's a wine drink. On-prem retail. So you're a couple steps away from how it gets in the U.S. Okay, restaurants. Okay,
Italian wine lover over there.
our distributor in Nevada. So you don't really, we're going to propose things to you, but you're not necessarily on the forefront of figuring out what comes over here. And another distributor from Florida. Just to give you an idea of kind of who came to this. I figured it'd be 90% Italian wineries from here that wanted to come to the United States. Boy, was I wrong. Are you Italian? Not Italian. So we've got a good mix, a good group here. What I thought I would do is we'll start off with giving you a little bit of background. And essentially for Italy, people that are in the Italian wine business, it's usually one of two stories. Oh, I just came back. I had this amazing romantic experience sitting in this little trattoria, and I fell in love with Italy, and I wanted to bring it home with me. Or the other story, I was in this really wonderful trattoria in Miami, and I thought to myself, wow, if I brought on these wines, I bet I could sell them too. And people can see themselves getting into the business, either as an importer or as a local distributor. And so what today's talk was about initially is giving you guys some background, some understanding, so we're all starting in the same place in terms of what the U.S. market is like. And understanding that, then we can move forward, because I want to make sure that everyone's clued in. So basically, we're all here because we love Italy. We're all here because we fell in love with Italian wines. And not just with the wines, but with the people, with the culture, with the foods of Italy. And there's no bigger love affair than between the U.S. market as a whole and Italy. It's Italian style, it's Italian design, it's Italian food and wine, obviously. And this has been a huge part of American entertainment for 50 years, at least. After World War II, in the 50s and 60s, people began to look into it. By the time the 70s and the 80s, we were on fire. Italy was on fire, and it's only been going up from there, from the eyeglasses to the shoes that people wear. It's all Italy all day long. And I would never have worn this jacket otherwise. It's just... So we are in love with Italy, but there's a huge opportunity here, but it's going to take the right kind of individuals moving forward. I don't think we've ever seen a more difficult, more challenging market than we have today. Challenging in all respects. Demographics are shifting. Economics are shifting. And the entire marketplace is currently on an escalator, and it's going down. It's going down. The market is going down. So all things in the U.S. are in a pendulum. Everything swings. And I think that our pendulum goes relatively slowly. I think it'll be a few years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of this until things begin to pick up again. So let's understand a little bit better about what's going on. But essentially, there's going to be winners and losers at the end of this. 5 years from now, there'll be a lot of different players in the marketplace. This is what I fed into AI, and this is what came out. I love this. Market learnings of America for make benefit. Glorious nation of Italia. Obviously, Borat was my coach on that one, but that's a lot of what we're here to cover today. So just as an overview of what's going on in the U.S. right now, it's incredibly challenging for selling Italian wines, not just in the United States, but around the world. Italy, all of Europe, Asia. Everything is a big challenge these days. And I think that the challenge for us as importers and distributors, restaurateurs, retailers, is how do we make the most advantage of that as we're looking ahead at what's going on in the world today, right? Specifically in the United States today. And I don't think we've come across bigger challenges, not during COVID and not during 2009, these kind of efforts. It's a tough time for all of us to find a route to market. So we want to find a route to market across the Atlantic Ocean. And Italy, last year, or last year, $2 billion worth of wine. And things were on the up. Things were looking good. And then things changed here, obviously, this calendar year with U.S. policy, U.S. government policy. And our government policy has resulted in a contraction, in a shrinking. It's as if you took the entire import wine and you put it in cold water and it just shrank. That's a good visual for what's been going on over here. And so currently in the U.S., we're basically all standing on an escalator. And the escalator's going down. And the escalator's currently been going down at 6 or 8% a year, something like that. I don't know what you're experiencing, But, basically if your sales are flat, you're doing good because everything else is going down. So we feel like we're on an escalator and we're working hard just to maintain where we were last year in many cases. And that's true. We're based in Napa Valley, or I'm based in Napa Valley, and Napa wineries, same thing. It's been tough across the board, not just for imports. So consumption is down, and production costs are up, and consumer behavior is shifting. My daughter, 25 years old, not really into drinking that much wine. A little bit here and there, but they don't really drink that much wine, or vodka, or Red Bull, or anything else. So things are shifting a little bit, and that's a whole different conversation. But basically, things are shifting and changing. We'll get into the big T word a little bit later, just so everyone's on the same page, the way that we see it, and the way that we see things as going on. And I think I say we, Roberto. So I wrote here, we're kind of living in a little bit of an upside down world. It's not the world that we used to know. It's not the world that we're familiar with. And it's certainly, for most of us, is not the world that we want to see. And so as either a winery or as an importer or a distributor, these are some important things to understand. So there are fewer distributors in the U.S. In 95, we had 3,000 more or less, and today we've got about 1,000. And so we've lost 2/3 of our distributors. And at the same time, the brands and the number of wines have exploded. So this was a review, and they said basically that the U.S. government approves about 100,000 new labels a year. And all the labels that are labels only need to be reviewed if there's a new production or a design change. Vintage changes don't affect them. So they're thinking, well, we got 100,000 new ones a year, and there's probably, combined therefore 300,000 or 400,000 wine labels in the United States. It's a great place to buy wine. We have everything. It's a little more challenging if we're trying to bring in wines and focus on those wines and those brands in the United States. So we've got fewer distributors, a lot of brands, more brands than the nation can actually swallow, and then a large customer base. So the U.S. market looks like a funnel. Looks like me if my belt was on super crazy tight, because it'd be large, then tight, and then small. And the challenge is this constriction, and that's the importation, because we have fewer and fewer people bringing it in. At the same time, we talked about the U.S. dollar, which is down about 11%, and Morgan Stanley thinks, hey, maybe it's going to drop another 10. We don't know, but it's certainly going that way next year. It's not going to get stronger. It's likely to get weaker. And here's what I talked about when we have, in the past, we had a lot of distributors, and many of those are going to national distributors. So we have fewer distributors today than we did yesterday. And we've gone from a few different wineries to many, many different wineries, many, many different brands here in the United States. So we still want to be an importer, a distributor. What do we want to do here? So those are some of the challenges that we're dealing with.
The first question is, you still want to be a producer?
I think that there's no better business to be in terms of lifestyle and what we do. When we wake up in the morning, we love what we do. When we wake up in the morning, we get to work with production. We get to work with people whose every day is in the land. We get to work with some of the great chefs, some of the great sommeliers, some of the great writers and journalists that are all pulling this together to share this idea. I think it's one of the most exciting businesses in the world. I think there's plenty of room for it. I think things are difficult. I think there's a lot of challenges out there today. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of opportunity. And I think that for those people who understand what's ahead of us and are willing to take those chances and be able to steel yourself for the long run, I'd love to invite everybody to come out here and do this. We've had so many people, even from my own company, from Moderator, that have left Moderator and started their own businesses. And all we do is support them. It's like, that's great. What can we do to help you? I think we should have more people that are involved at this grassroots level to do this. And a lot of what we're doing is we're telling stories, right? So as we're out here either looking to produce wines, as Roberto does for 14 wineries, or we're looking to bring them in and import them and share them, we're all talking about stories and telling the truth, essentially. And one of the things that Roberto does with his wineries is, they work with 14 different families. They work with their feet on the ground. They're involved in the community. And I think that's so important to do, not just obviously on the production end, but for those of us that are thousands and thousands of miles away, to try and take that and bring that with us and share that. So whether you're in a restaurant or a retailer, or God forbid you're trying to bring these things in on a ship and bring them on over here like the rest of us, it's really about finding the right people, finding the people that you resonate with. It's not about finding a wine with a score. That's like going out and buying stock, right? Hey, this stock is up. I'm going to go buy that. And you're already too late to the party because at that point the stock's changing. So you have to be looking ahead. And for us, it's about finding the right families, the right people to go out there. It takes a lot of time. Part of this was really about finding gems in Italy. Italy's full of gems. Italian regions are full of gems. There's so much there that's undiscovered. And that's never been the question. There's so much quality. The question, I think, is really how do we bring these things to the United States? Once they're here and they get written up, the key after all this is to find distribution. The real key. We have a question that we ask in our company, and the question is, what's more important, the winery, the importer, or the distributor? And that's a really important question. If you're thinking about getting into this game, which part of that do you want to be part of? Which part of that is the most important? And so if you've got a stool with 3 legs on it, which one of them is going to be the one that really can't break? And to break through the timeline and to give you guys at least what my personal question is, I think it's the hardest thing to replace is the most important. And so the hardest thing for us to replace is probably in this country, the distributor. And so if you can't find good alliances and good people to work with, you kind of got to stop right there. Either they're too big and they can't pay attention, they're too small and they can't pay you. You're like, I'm just going to go out and do it myself. And you can't really do all that on your own. You really need support. You need teams. You need people. So these are some of the things. When I say in here, you must invest in the people, not just the wine. And consider the markets in which you want to work. If you're just a restaurateur in Washington, D.C., you can go ahead and get your own licenses. You can import your own wine, and therefore you might be looking at a very small footprint. You might have big ideas. You might have a contact with someone. You can pick something up for the United States and bring it around. A friend of mine over here started his own project bringing wines in and selling them throughout the United States, similar to what we do, where we work on a commission. And so, the more wine we sell, the more money we make, the bigger we can grow. But it's linked directly to our performance in the marketplace. And I think it's really important if you're looking at either growing your own restaurant wine list, or you're looking at finding wines that are not necessarily easily available in the United States, or you're looking at creating your own business as an importer, or you're like, the wines are here, but they're not being sold properly, and you want to get in the distribution game. I welcome all that. I think we need diversity, not just in the marketplace, in our communities, in our politics, but we need diversity in business. We need different people that are doing more. And I think that Italy has more to offer than almost any other country. Italy has more to offer in terms of just sheer grapes, 600 varietals, and we've memorized those both forward and backwards. So we'll be doing that later. And in the United States, the restaurants that are most available are Mediterranean/Italian restaurants. This love affair continues to go forward. And so I think for anyone that's interested, I see a bright future. I don't see a bright future tomorrow. I see a lot of challenges tomorrow, but I think it will definitely get better in the future, and it's not going away. So anyone that's interested in hanging a shingle out, interested in building and growing, it's all about people, connections, spending time in the marketplace here where you want to sell, and spending time in Italy to meet those right people that I said. That's really the key. And there's so much opportunity out here, but there's a lot of challenges that we have to overcome every day. And so, now that you've got your importer set up, let's get moving. Let's go out and start selling. But it's really about positioning whatever you're thinking. If you're positioning a wine list in a particular way, Italy's all about diversity. And we love to see those things out there. Italy's also about, this is about wine, but it's also could be about spirits. Italian spirits are huge. Italy has a huge history, a long history of Italian spirits. And we got involved in the spirits game a few years ago. Other friends are in the spirits game right here today. There's just a lot of opportunity out there, and all that flows directly into importation, distribution, restaurants, and retail as well. So I want to stop and take some questions, because I kind of gave a broad overview that ended on an enthusiastic, at least I want to end on an enthusiastic, opportunistic note. But are there questions that people might have specific to their situation, what you guys are looking at, learning, or doing?
I'll just ask a question for you in your business. I want to be positive about this if I can, but are you taking on new wineries at the moment? Are your current wineries able to kind of continue their relationship with you at this point?
As far as our portfolio goes at Dolaterra, we're looking at, there's two ways that we can go right now. We're in an inflection point. And at Dolaterra, we have big plans for next year. Our big plans are to build and grow our team at Dolaterra. So we're going to be investing more on our internal structure, on our team. And that's where all of our efforts and our investments are going to go for next year. And then on top of that, as that's built, we're going to have an even bigger, stronger structure to be able to bring more things in. We're always looking at doing more, not less. For the wineries that are involved with us right now, they're going to get a huge pick-me-up, I think, in coming next year.
I have a question about being one and the same, being a distributor and an importer. I'm seeing a lot of that happening. What's the pros and cons to that?
In most cases, the distributor is also the importer. Most people that distribute wine are also their own importers. So they own both licenses. And the difference is if you are importing and distributing your own wines, or if you're getting wines from a different supplier. So we've got a portfolio of wines, and so we give those to a distributor, and then it goes, but they have their own import and distribution licenses. But some of those distributors also import their own wines without any, they just go direct. And so the question is, are those wines getting more attention, et cetera, than something else that they're bringing in? In our case, no, because we work very closely with each of our distributors. So our objectives are clear with them. But does that answer your question? Yeah. So for us, our importer and our distributors I think every single one of them are the same because they carry both licenses. They import them, put them in their warehouse, and then their distribution team goes ahead and sells them.
If you're looking back to when you're first starting your importing business, is there something you would do differently or advice you would give to yourself or anything like that?
Good question. So when I started this, what would I change? What would I have done differently? I think the first thing was to be clear on what my objective was. I wasn't clear. I didn't know if I was going to do things locally or just work in a few states, or if I was going to do things nationally. Today, things have changed. Today, I would only do things nationally, personally, because if you're working with top brands and you don't have them for the country, someone's going to step up and take them away. Maybe not this year, but in 2, 3, 4 years, something's going to happen, and you're going to lose them. You do a good job, you build them up, the winery thinks, look how great we are. Yeah, you're okay, but it's really the people on the ground, it's really the people that are out selling the wines have done a great job and made the numbers bounce. Then they take it away from you. They move it over like a chess pawn in a game. And unless you're really with the right distributor and the right team and you have the right organization, those numbers aren't consistent. The second thing I would have done is in going national, I would have borrowed more money and built that structure from the beginning. It took 35 years to build out what we have, and we're still growing. Like I said, next year we're going to invest even further. I would have just front-loaded that.
Let's say if you were a new small importer, how would you, or what advice would you have just to get paid as best as possible from your distributors? And also, as you're looking for new distributors, what kind of do you feel is the best resource? Anything from a database to just networking to kind of find new distributors for other markets.
I think that distribution is the key to all this. As I said in that three-legged stool example, distributors are the key, and you can't really do much without the right one. And different distributors are right for different things. So if you're starting small and you want to work in a few areas, I would even start with picking the right states, the right markets. Certain markets you're going to be more successful in than others. It's really hard to go into A markets, the biggest markets, and try and be successful and get any attention out there. So for me, it'd be more about attention. It'd be more about blocking and tackling and having a strategy where I want to be in these states, and that's why. Other states are very sticky. In other words, the distribution is. Some states you can't move. You can't change distributors. So I'd be very leery of that in the beginning until you have some momentum and some understanding about who you're working with. So flexibility is key, and market selection would be really important. And in terms of getting paid, if they're not paying you, how much are you willing to lose? And it doesn't mean that they're mean. I mean, things are getting tough and tougher. I'm in California, and one of the largest distributors in the state just pulled out in August. Like $1 billion worth of business. They walked away from it. So anything can happen. There's no such thing as too big to fail. So I think personal relationships and being able to understand where someone's coming from in terms of payments and things is really important, because you can't afford not to get paid for an invoice. Got to. It's too important.
Thank you. I'm so curious to hear from you tactically what works well when you're working with distributors in order to ensure that they do have your wines really front and center and they're doing a good job selling them. So is it incentives? Is it bringing them to Italy so they can meet the producers, bringing the producers over, working the market, portfolio tastings? Like, what's working for you?
So in terms of strategies, there's one that I think is more important than anything. You can give away a lot. There's fancy dinners, there's airplane tickets, there's all these amazing things you can give somebody. But before that, the key is to have communication and management in place. Objectives, strategies, pricing. It comes down to margins, it comes down to tracking depletions, and it comes down to inventory control. So those are the basics. Before we're going to do anything and spend any money, all those things have to be in place. And the most important for us are the Kristen Millises of the world. The most important thing to us are our managers that are managing the markets, that are there every day, that are working with Scott, that are thinking, it's their rapport, it's their daily communication, their relationship that sets the tone for everything else. So after that, then you can have promotions, you can have by the glass pricing, and you can have winners and trips to Italy. All these various incentives are very important. But it comes down, I think the first thing is the rapport that we as an importer has with our distributors, so that we are a priority. One of the things that made it clear for me that we needed to grow was so that we could become more important to our distributors. If we're, neither fish nor fowl, not really that important, we'll get that kind of a response. And it took a lot of effort over decades to kind of grow to that place where we can ensure that our producers are getting the attention they need. But it all comes down to management, 100% of it. I don't care what wines you have, nothing is easy to sell. Everything is going to take that attention to detail, making sure you're getting paid, making sure you have the attention. But then, there's, you have like a tool book.
Okay, let's give it up for Brian Larky and Roberto Bruno.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, chin chin.